Okay, so let's dive into this. You came to us asking about Mary Bell Higgins, 1979, Scotland.
Right.
And looking at the sources you shared, well, it seems there's a bit of a mix-up there.
Yeah, looks like it.
The name Higgins and 1979, that actually seems to connect to linguistics research mentioned in the material.
Ah, okay.
The case we think you're really interested in, the one these sources detail, is actually the deeply disturbing story of Mary Bell.
Mary Bell, yes, that sounds right. But from 1968 and in England, not Scotland.
Exactly, Newcastle, England.
So this deep dive, it's focusing squarely on her case. I mean, an 11-year-old girl convicted of killing 2 little boys. It was absolutely shocking back then.
Unbelievably shocking. And, the insights from it, they still resonate today about, society, justice.
Definitely. So our mission here is really to, unpack the key facts from these sources, what actually happened, and what the major takeaways are.
Right. So the facts of the crimes themselves. We're talking Scotswood, Newcastle upon Tyne, 1968. An area, the sources say, that was kind of run down, lots of abandoned buildings, redevelopment going on.
Yeah, a bit bleak sounding. And the first victim mentioned is 4-year-old Martin Brown, found strangled.
In May 68. In one of those derelict houses, just the day before Mary Bell's 11th birthday, wasn't it?
That's right. Horrific timing. Right. And then just a couple months later, July 68. Another one.
3-year-old Brian Howe. He went missing, then found strangled too, near a railway line, I think.
Yes. And the sources highlight some really deeply disturbing details about Brian's death.
It's awful to even talk about.
It is. Mutilation, his hair was cut, some genital mutilation, and like a crude attempt to carve an M on his stomach.
And an M for Mary.
That was the immediate thought, yes. And the reports noted, importantly, that the force used seemed consistent with a child perpetrator.
Which is just chilling. And the behavior between the killings, according to the sources.
Also very strange, yeah. Mary and her friend, Norma Bell, no relation, confusingly, they reportedly broke into a nursery.
Left notes, didn't they? Mocking notes. One actually said, "I murder so that I may come back."
Can you imagine finding that? And reports they asked to see Martin's body at his funeral.
And even trying to strangle other kids in the neighborhood. It's wow.
So when you look at the investigation, it's interesting how it unfolded. Mary and Norma, they were witnesses initially.
Because they'd been seen with Brian Howe, right?
Exactly. But Mary, she apparently made a slip-up, a crucial one. She mentioned broken scissors found at the scene. But that was a detail only the police knew.
Okay. A classic investigative detail. She tried to blame someone else, too.
Yeah, some local boy. But he had a solid alibi. And when they were eventually charged, their reactions were apparently quite different.
How so?
Mary, who was 11, was described as quite calm. Reportedly asked for a lawyer straight away. Norma, 13, was apparently crying, denying everything.
Quite a contrast. And they were both charged. The sources mentioned the decision to publish their names and photos was pretty controversial.
Very controversial for children. During the trial, those mental evaluations became key.
Right. What did they find?
Well, Norma was assessed as, maybe a bit slow, suggestible, submissive. But Mary, 4 psychiatrists evaluated her.
4?
And
they diagnosed her with a psychopathic personality disorder, described her as cunning, intelligent, but volatile.
A psychopathic personality disorder at 11? That's heavy.
It really is. And that diagnosis led directly to the verdict.
So what was the final outcome?
Mary was found guilty of manslaughter for both killings, not murder.
Because of diminished responsibility. Due to the personality disorder.
Exactly. The court felt her condition reduced her culpability from murder. Norma, though, was acquitted of all charges.
And Mary's sentence?
Indefinite detention. At Her Majesty's pleasure, as the phrase goes. Basically, no fixed term, release up to the authorities.
So the diagnosis gives one angle, but the why is still hanging there, isn't it? Did the sources get into her background at all? Oh, yes. This is where Gitta Sereny's later book, Cries Unheard, becomes really important, based on her talks with the adult Mary Bell. The sources detail some truly horrific claims from that book.
Like what?
Claims that her mother was a prostitute, her father, violent, alcoholic, but much, much worse. Claims her mother tried to kill her multiple times.
Tried to kill her own daughter.
Allegedly. Yeah. And forced her into prostitution herself, from as young as 5.
My God, 5 years old. If true, that's unimaginable trauma.
Absolutely. And it just throws that psychopath diagnosis into a really complex light, doesn't it? That whole nature versus nurture debate. Was it inherent or was it a product of that horror?
It certainly complicates the picture massively. So what happened after she was sentenced? The aftermath.
She was released in 1980. After about 11, maybe 12 years, given a new identity, anonymity.
But the media didn't just let it go, I assume.
Not entirely. The sources mention ongoing intrusion, especially after she had a daughter later on.
Which led to, wasn't there a legal case?
Yes, a really significant one. In 2003, she won a high court order. Lifelong anonymity for her and her daughter, later extended to her granddaughter too.
The Mary Bell order, they call it sometimes.
Unofficially, yes. And it's important because it really set a precedent, balancing that reformed offender privacy against public curiosity or interest.
Was there controversy around Sereny's book too? Paying her for the story?
Oh, huge controversy. Sereny paid her £15,000, the sources say. Sparked a massive debate about, checkbook journalism and whether criminals should profit from their stories.
Right. Looking back then, what's the overall legacy of this case?
Well, it really shone a light on flaws in the juvenile justice system back then, trying kids basically as adults.
Yeah.
It pushed forward debates about the age of criminal responsibility. And maybe most importantly, it was just a stark, terrifying reminder that children can kill and highlighted the desperate need to protect vulnerable kids.
So a truly complex, tragic story all around. Child killer, child victims, deep psychological issues, and that alleged background of just horrific trauma.
It really covers so many difficult areas.
So the final thought, maybe for you listening, when you hear those details about her alleged childhood, that trauma, does it change how you view her responsibility? Even a little.
And maybe the bigger question it leaves us with today. What does this case still tell us about our collective duty? Identifying and stepping in to help children who are clearly at terrible risk, maybe preventing something like this from ever happening again.